Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right. We are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club on this beautiful early September day. We have Nathan Amaral with us, who was working 3 jobs to dig his way out of $60,000 in personal debt. He was frustrated by the slow results, and he spent years learning about real estate and finally closed his first deal at the age of 20. Since then, he has invested in single-family properties, land, apartments, you name it. And he also invests internationally, which I am super excited to talk about. In fact, he is actually calling us from Germany, from the Disneyland of Germany out there in Rust, Germany. So Nathan, thank you very much for taking the time out of the day and talking to us about real estate.
Thanks, Gabe. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You mentioned the Disneyland of Germany. So I got my kids like running around and I'm like, go over there, be quiet, stay over there.
It makes it more real. That's something we can do.
Well, don't be surprised if my son just jumps on the camera here in a minute. Yeah, man, so good to be here. Love your podcast. I've been listening over the past few months when I started getting interested in listening to other people's podcasts because you get to meet new people in this business. But yeah, so great to be here. And yeah, definitely the Disneyland of Germany has been cool. It's called Europa Park. If anybody's interested, it's called Europa Park. So much fun.
I actually checked images before we got on here, and yeah, that looks like something that I'm definitely gonna have to check out. But Nathan, yeah. I told you before we got on here, we love stories on the Real Estate Investing Club because everybody, especially in real estate, we all have unique ones. There's ups, there's downs. So we like to get those pieces out. So why don't you take us back to whenever this started? And
oh my God,
how did it get started, and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. Funny, unique story. How I got started was my ex-fiance's dad forced me into real estate investing. He's like, if you want to marry my daughter, you have to read this book. So he puts the book of Rich Dad, Poor Dad in my chest and says, read this book. And I was like, oh, all right, whatever. So the next, 2 days later, I come back and I said, okay, here, I read the book. And he's like, okay, what's on chapter 6? Tell me about chapter 6. I said, I don't know. I didn't even read it. He's like, really? You really want to marry my daughter? So I go back, I read, I take notes of the whole book. And as I go through the book, and I just had this epiphany, like, man, what I've been doing, three jobs, working so many, like 14 hours every day, living this broke mentality. I realized that I needed to do something different. And he then, after I read it to him and went back and gave him some, some questions that, that I had, he ended up just kind of like pushing me and forcing me into going to real estate seminars and learning more and more. Well, that turned into 15 years of not only educating myself, but doing my first deal when I turned 20, and then 10 years of actually, helping other people close deals and do their business. In the course of that, though, Gabe, I started off locally as a real estate investor. So knocking on doors. This is before the, email was a thing and text messaging, knocking on doors, using e-fax and stuff. And then started locally. And then in 2010, I started doing stuff remotely.
Yeah, that is something, especially in the modern day, that everybody is just really excited about, and myself as well, because a lot of people live in markets where they're just priced out. Especially if you want to do flips, depending on your strategy, you just can't do it, and so you need to find a different market to look into, and that's where investing in another market, doing something remotely, it really opens up the opportunities. So I'm excited to kind of go into this. And before we got on here, I was looking at what everything about you. You have fearlessmillionaire.com. And I like that you really accentuate real estate investing. It starts with being fearless. It starts with the mindset. So I really like that that's part of your kind of whole philosophy. Can you go just kind of a little bit into how you kind of, you landed on fearlessmillionaire.com?
Yeah. How it breeded. Actually, I didn't come up with the name. A buddy of mine named Ryan Dice, he's an amazing marketer, came up with the name for me. Interesting enough, I was spent all these years in the seminar industry. So I would go around teaching and training, and I'd see the same bodies, the same people who would want to actually get started in real estate. And I'd see them over and over again from different events. And I'd say, why are you still here? It's been a year. Have you done any deals? Like, what's going on? And they said, no, I haven't done my first deal. I said, wait, you've spent X number of dollars. You've gone to all these seminars. Like, what's going on? So when I really sat down with a bunch of people over the years, it really came down to fear. But it's kind of a hard thing to say. It's like, people saying they're afraid and all this stuff. So anyway, I just started really helping people, make their first offer, close their first deal, and really just get in tune with that and build up the confidence. So essentially, Fearless Millionaire, that brand, is just a confidence booster to getting started in real estate. It's what it is. And I give all credit to Ryan. He's a marketing genius. But that's what it is at the core. That's the philosophy. Get someone to make their first offer, get into their first contract, get into their first deal, and life changing. I don't sell any training and courses, by the way. I don't have any courses or anything like that. I usually like to work really one-on-one with people and help them, get the results they're looking for.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know how many times, that theme has kind of popped up here on the Real Estate Investing Club, that it's that first deal that if you're thinking about getting in investing, that's the path to your financial freedom that you're looking for. And you can't pull the trigger. You're going to conference after conference. It's that first deal. You just got to get out of the way. It's going to be scary. You're never going to think that it's the perfect deal, but you just got to do it.
And Gabe, it was me. Like for 2 years, I studied real estate with my ex-fiance's dad. So I just kept studying real estate, but never really closed the deal. And my son's screaming at the top of his lungs. And so that was me. And then I hired a coach. He flew out to my area, which was in Massachusetts at the time. And he said, hey, man, you've done all the homework. Why haven't you made an offer? And I said, what happens if they say yes? That was my biggest fear, is like, what happens if they say yes? So what ended up happening was he forced me to make 11 offers. And out of those 11 offers, 4 got accepted, and I closed on 2. The other 2 just kind of went away. But those 2 that I closed made me $18,000. And that was it. That made it real, and it changed my life forever. I've been in real estate ever since.
Yep. I love the quote, you don't know what you don't know. And that is so true, because you're not going to know everything. You just, once you pull the trigger and you go through it, then you'll know. And you can't expect to know something that you haven't done. So
true.
Enough about that. Fearless Millionaire. Love the whole philosophy, but we are here. We want to talk about investing remotely, and specifically investing internationally. The US, there's plenty of great places to invest here, but a lot of people, they want to explore the world. They want to buy something in Sicily, something in Uganda, or not Uganda, but whatever country you want to buy property in. A lot of people are really interested in international investing. So kind of, how did you get into that area? How did you begin looking internationally outside of the US borders?
Yeah. So one of the things that it first started before I went over borders, one of the first things that happened was I moved out of Massachusetts, which is where I was doing business locally, and I moved to North Carolina. While I was there, I started working with a client, and I started investing something that was like 3 hours away, 5 hours away, without physically going to the property. Then I did it a state away, 2 states away. Well, interesting enough, in 2013, just to really summarize this story here, I moved out of the US and I moved to Uganda. I met my longtime friend, pen pal friend. We ended up getting married. I moved to Uganda within 30 days of our engagement. And I started doing deals in Uganda and doing deals in the US. So I was doing it in both countries. And I was doing it over the pond, as I like to say. Well, then as we traveling, and I love to travel. I'm like addicted to travel. So, I started, taking my family all over the US, and then we ended up in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which is an island of the Azores off the coast of Portugal. And so I also invest there because I'm Portuguese and, I got some roots there. So in the interim of things, and to summarize this, international investing is fun. I enjoy it. I really enjoy investing in the US though. Even though I've invested in Uganda and I've invested in Portugal, I have to say, if I was to give you a level of ease of business and how to do the business even more simplified, the United States is probably one of the easiest countries to do real estate investing, then Uganda, then Portugal.
That's interesting, so that's kind of because we have so many rules and regulations, especially when it comes to building. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I think you can get away when it comes to building. There's definitely less regulation in Uganda, but when it gets to places either like Portugal or it's going to get a lot more difficult. But Portugal is a socialistic country, and I've been there my entire life, like flying, visiting every year, or once every 2 years because I have family there and all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you this: in 2019, when COVID hit, I lived there for 2 years. And I really felt like socialism seeping into my skin. And I'll tell you what, it is a very, very difficult environment to be a capitalist, to build anything, to build a business. I saw what I like to call a fake economy where the government just stimulates the economy consistently, and it's really unfortunate. So it makes me appreciate the United States a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually did not know that Portugal was socialist. That's interesting. So I mean, you've invested. It's not only one country. You've invested in multiple countries outside of the U.S. What do you see are the pros? Like, why would someone from the U.S. want to invest outside of the U.S. And not just ROI? Like, what are the other benefits to investing in a new country?
So that's a great question. Somebody just asked me this yesterday in a chat, and this is my advice to people. If you want to invest in a different country, if you plan on like living there, like you want to live there, maybe part of the year, or you want to have short-term rentals there, then go for it. Right? I wouldn't recommend like full-time living somewhere and then investing in a whole nother country, simply for like two reasons. Laws and taxes. Those are the two main reasons. Laws and taxes. Forget about like a property manager who's not doing their job. That's easy. Laws and taxes are very, very difficult. And one of the things, let's take the easy part, language too, if it's not an English speaking language. So I was telling this guy who was chatting with me the other day, I said, the deal I just did in Portugal, we bought a $5.5 million property and turned it into a nursing facility, so assisted living. And I have to say that hasn't been my biggest deal, but it's been the most stressful deal because of all the surprises, because of the procedures, the bureaucracy, the taxes, the oh my gosh, it literally was the most stressful deal I've ever had in my real estate investing career. So I got tons of stories in that area, but I would just say, listen, if you're going to do anything internationally, I would either say, if you're going to like live there, like maybe most of the year, then great. Or definitely do short-term rentals. I got short-term rentals in US, Portugal, and Uganda. And I use property managers to do that. So I like short-term rentals in that regard. Because then I can just jump in there. I can fly over there. I can stay in one of my own rentals, that kind of thing. But other than that, if you're going to go into other stuff like commercial, man, I'd get very familiar with the processes and procedures.
Yep. Yeah, when I think of investing internationally, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is, I would like to buy a short-term rental someplace that I actually want to visit, somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And, but just like you said, taxes and laws, I wouldn't really, unless it's a killer deal, I would be nervous on underwriting any type of commercial property. I do self-storage mobile home parks, and looking at that outside of the US, right. I would just be nervous. I would be nervous on the underwriting side, especially because I'm sure when you were building these nursing facilities, you're going through the process and you ran into, like you said, taxes that you didn't expect, especially in a socialist country. I can only imagine.
Surprises like no ever before. Like if you're familiar with this, you know that there's in closing, there's RESPA docs and there's the truth in lending. I mean, just like 3 days before closing, not even 3 days, let's just call it on Friday, I got all the documents for closing. We were closing on Monday. Oh, wow. How horrible is that, right? So it's like, and we're talking a commercial deal. It just doesn't even make sense, right? And I almost didn't close on that Monday, but we did anyway, just to make sure everybody was happy. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that could happen, So you got to be careful.
Yep, makes sense. Are there any specific countries outside of the U.S. that you feel are did they just have a good environment for investing for commercial and residential investors?
That's a great question. For the commercial side of it, I don't know of any, like, I would say a specific country I would recommend. Like, oh, you should invest here because there's a lot of stuff going on commercially. I wouldn't know that in particular, but I will say this for short-term rentals. I would recommend short-term rentals in countries that have, the cost of living in the United States is growing up more than ever before. And I think it's shocking a lot of people. Okay. And I deal with a lot of people who are either seniors or retirees. Okay. And they're moving out of the US because of cost of living. Okay. So if you want to have maybe short-term rentals in those markets where there's like a mix of tourism and seniors, because they're like, hey, it's not too expensive to live here. I could rent out for a year, see if I like it. Or tourism. I mean, my goodness, Italy, for example, is 60 million people. Well, pre-COVID, 60 million people visit Italy every year.
Wow.
I mean, you drop a pin in Italy, in Rome, you could have a short-term rental, no problem, and be full. So, I mean, again, I would say pick something that you like, and I would say think about the tourism market. I would get there are some good websites, but also councils. They call them councils or associations online for tourism. I would get involved in the tourism sector that way, and they'll give you the annual report at what countries are rising, why they're rising in tourism, and then drop a short-term rental in that market. And there's companies out there specifically for people, let's say from the US, who want to buy in that country and do that. Gabe, essentially, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't go buy one of those €1 building or homes in Italy for €1 and deal with all that nonsense of rehabilitation and get it all up to par, because that could just be a headache, especially remotely.
Do you have any good resources for someone who from the tourism side who might want to buy a short-term rental in a tourist market?
I do for Portugal, but I guess if anyone's looking like on a broad sense, there is an association that I have bookmarked actually right now. I'll have to look it up in my bookmarks. But if someone was to Google the Council on Tourism Global, or maybe I have the words backwards, but it's basically a tourism council. And what they do is they put out this annual report. And that annual report is pretty helpful. That actually was given to me from a buddy of mine who lives in Alaska right now, and he's moved recently from Ecuador. So I would say the National Tourism, I believe it's called Advisory Council. They're the ones who kind of put out that annual report. That's a pretty solid resource. I'll tell you what, it didn't help me to make my decisions in where I was investing, because I literally only invested in those 2 other countries because I had interest there. Like Portugal is where, my family's from. And then Uganda is where I'm building, another life, as I like to say.
Yep.
So
that makes sense. All right. I just took a peek at the clock. We have gone through our allotted time, so I got to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. Always starts out with books. I'm a big bookie. You've already mentioned a good one, so I'm gonna push you to choose something else besides Rich Dad Poor Dad, because literally it's about 50% of the people that say that one. But give me two, which for good reason. It's a great book.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But give me two book recommendations: one for real estate and one for general life wisdom. Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Okay, so for real estate, oh my goodness, gosh, I can't remember the last time I read a real estate book. It's been so long because you just after a while you do it. I would say in regards to like real estate and business, the cash flow quadrant. Okay, and the only reason why is if you're a real estate entrepreneur and running a business, it really helps you to get from one side of the quadrant to the other. I think that's a very important focus in your real estate investing business. So it's not just like specifically, let me figure out how to do like lease options. I don't really read books like that, but I would say very specifically that you should read the cash flow quadrant. Another book that is not related to real estate. I love the book, The Secret of the Ages, by Robert Collier. It's always been a favorite of mine. And I know most people might say like Think and Grow Rich, but Robert Collier for The Secret of the Ages is a great read.
Huh. All right. I will have to check that out. I have yet to hear about that one. That's a good one. All right, moving on. And this one is for your younger self. So if you could go back to the Nathan who did not have any idea about real estate investing, before your father-in-law, I believe, came and suggested that you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, go back to him, look him in the eye, give yourself one piece of advice moving forward.
Yeah. It was my ex fiance actually. And I think about it when I look at my son here, when he's over here playing like Connect 4. The thing I would tell my son, is read more. And I did not read a lot. My ex-father-in-law had to force me to read. So I would tell I'd kind of put that on my son, like you need to read every day. And I would definitely tell him that you need to try and take risks younger.
Yep.
You got plenty of time later, 40, 50, to be more conservative, but be risky when you're younger and not let, the opinion of others, what people think of you, what people are going to say or anything like that. Am I going to fail? Am I going to look stupid or anything like that? Just get out there and do it. Make mistakes.
I love that. I feel that is a really good combination of advice. Read more so you get a little bit of wisdom and take risks. You're young, get out there, make mistakes. Really good advice. All right, moving on. This one is an opportunity for you to brag a little bit. We all are gifted with strengths. Each person is unique and we all have our own unique strengths. So what is the one thing that you feel what's your Superman strength? What's the thing that you feel you're exceptional at?
Love the question. And I'll tell you exactly what all my clients have told me. It's not me, saying it, is the energy. My clients have always told me like, Nathan, when I'm around you, I can be sad, depressed, or, maybe I'm having a very slow real estate week or month, but you know how to bring up the energy and I feel so much better. I feel inspired. That's just a natural gift to me that I've never planned on or worked on in my entire life. I guess you can mix that up with optimism, but it's a little bit more than just optimism. It's taking the current situation and turning it into an opportunity. So mix that up with opportunists. That's probably my greatest strength.
Love it. All right. And then we're on to habits. Habits are the foundation of our life. So if you could point to one thing in your life you feel contributes the most to your overall health, well-being, and happiness, the thing you do every day, what is it?
Doing it right now. Oh wow, my habits. I was thinking habits or addictions. Travel, man. Literally, the like. I know some people will say, "Oh, I need to go and do real estate to make money." But you know what I do? Like after this trip, I'm already planning the next trip. So my habit is I'm already like, oh, where am I going next? It's a habit I have. So even my whole family and friends, like, oh, where's Nathan now? Where's Nathan going next? It's a habit of mine. It's an
Mhm.
addictional habit. And that actually fuels the business. That actually says, okay, I got to work, get this stuff done so I can go take a month off.
I really like that. That is,
Yeah,
because it makes a lot of sense to me. Is like you're creating plans where you have a definitive deadline. Like this is where I'm going to go. This is what I'm looking forward to.
exactly.
All right, great. I have this deadline, this wall. So now I have to get everything
Exactly.
done before then. I like that. That's really good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that leads us to our last question because you've given us so much good advice. I'm sure people out there want to reach out, talk about international investing, talk about remote investing. So, what is the best way for them to reach out and say hi?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, anyone can go to the website fearless dash or hyphen dash millionaire.com. They can reach out there. I have a few resources on there, free resources. They can go on there, contact me, or they can go right through either Facebook or YouTube or something like that. Either way, basically social media or the website.
Cool. So that is fearless-millionaire.com. I will put that in the show notes. So if anybody wants to reach out and say hi to Nathan, just click a little more. It'll pull down the full description. In there, you can find the URL to say hi. So Nathan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time out of the day out there in Rust and coming to say hi.
Thanks, Gabe. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And for everybody who is here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for quick assignment cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So It's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, an even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.